Hi, everybody. Just going to wait a couple seconds until we get some people on this Facebook Live. I'm going to be talking about this new challenge that I started with my husband, Michael. He is doing a 1 year long challenge, and I'm doing a 6 month long challenge. I'm going to talk about why we did it, what kind of benefits that we're seeing from it, and maybe how you can implement something like that in your life to help you with motivation or to reach your goals or to make a habit. So before I start talking about why we did it and the types of benefits that we're getting from it, I'm going to backtrack a little bit, back to 2016. I was still competing in weightlifting at a national level, and that was just really my main motivation to be training in the gym, to be on top of my nutrition. I had to be in a particular weight class, and it was really motivating for me because there was this thing that I was heading towards, and I wanted to be in the best shape so I could do as well as possible at the competition. I didn't want to end up there and not make weight and feel like I had failed, or I had this really strong accountability outside of just having my nutrition coach, who I did work with a nutrition coach the entire time I was competing. And then when I stopped competing, the motivation to train in the gym as well as be really on top of my nutrition without needing to be in a particular weight class or have a competition that I was heading towards became significantly more difficult for me. So there might be some people that are listening that can resonate with that, where you spent a significant period of your life. For me, I spent 6 years being competitive in a sport, and I always had that goal. I always trained a specific way. I trained at a specific frequency, and once that completely shifted for me, finding the motivation to get to the gym and really stay on top of my nutrition was much more difficult. So I would find myself being, maybe some of you guys can relate, but I would find myself being, going to the gym because I know it's good for me and I know it's healthy and it would make me feel good. But then I would get to this place where I felt like I looked okay and I was, still going to the gym, checking off the boxes, but I wasn't actually pushing really hard in the gym. I wasn't trying to make progress. I had these moments where I felt like I was never going to be as strong as I once was. So what's the point of even going to the gym? And I knew that, my husband loves me. He thinks I'm beautiful no matter what. I'm married, so it's not like I'm in the dating scene and I have this motivation to, be, I guess, extra desirable might be the case. But I do think that you should still be that way, even if you're married. But I guess the motivation is a little bit different. And I knew that I would be in this place where I felt comfortable mostly, but I knew that if I pushed a little bit harder, I would feel better, and it would leak into all life. I would be a nicer person. I would be kinder to myself, kinder to other people. I would be more effective at work. I would be more efficient. And I would always just end up in this space where I felt like I was okay, but I couldn't find the motivation to push just past that or go the extra mile or do a little bit extra. And I knew that I would carry myself differently if I did. I had less confidence when I was just in that middle area, and that would definitely leak into all the different areas of my life. And since 2016, I've been playing with probably a million different ways to remotivate myself. I would completely change all the Instagram accounts that I would follow online just to, that's a place that I go to frequently. I'd want to make sure that the things that I'm seeing on social media are motivating to me or inspiring. I scheduled a photo shoot to try and, I had this end goal that I would get to that I'd be super motivated for. I started different types of exercise. I went to hip hop classes. I took a hula hoop class. I went running with a friend. I tried a kickboxing class. None of these things worked for very long. They definitely were initially motivating and definitely got me trying a little bit harder, but it wasn't until recently that I have actually felt like I found this new spark to be much more on top and motivated with my fitness and my nutrition. So right now I'm on day 16 of a 6-month challenge to move 30 minutes every day. And this is move every day, not exercise every day. And if I break my commitment, that means that I'm going to have to run a marathon. And I definitely, anyone who knows me, I do not want to run a marathon. So that means if I don't at least move for 30 minutes every day, I have to run a marathon. And I have to complete that marathon within 6 months of breaking my commitment. So I'm going to explain why I did this and how it's going to go for me. But I want to talk a little bit about some ways that this might, influence you, or how you can implement it in your life, or other ways first. So the goal is really to build a habit. I chose the time frame of 6 months because it's a really long time frame. It was something that I looked at and I was like, wow, 6 months is a really long time. It's a little bit scary for me, which then I knew that I was probably in a good place. But if I didn't feel like it was, such a breeze, but it also wasn't so hard that I felt like it was absolutely impossible. And the path for me, and from my experience, for almost everybody to feeling amazing in your skin, is really a simple formula. Simple doesn't necessarily mean easy, but simple means that it's just not really complicated, but it can be difficult. And it is just taking care of yourself in as many ways as possible and trying to make that a habit. So meaning that you're going to stick to that behavior or habit for longer than, let's say, 4 months. And ultimately that this is something that you are at least aware of forever, or conscious if you stop doing that habit or behavior, and conscious if you're doing that behavior and how it's actually affecting your life. I usually talk about 4 different categories of how taking care of yourself can fall into 4 different categories. So first one would be hygiene, and that would probably be, brushing your teeth every single day, which we all do automatically, or putting some makeup on sometimes, showering, taking care of yourself, like putting on a nice outfit and caring about like how you feel in your clothes. And sometimes, you feel a little bit better when you take care of your hygiene. You do your hair, or get a manicure. Those are ways that can make you feel really awesome and confident in your skin in regards to your hygiene. Another thing would be your nutrition, which of course everyone knows, that's part of this group. And the third would be your fitness. And the fourth would be mindfulness. That would be whether it's meditation work, talking to a therapist, having friends that you confide in and have difficult conversations with, and just working on becoming more aware of the way that you think, and being able to respond to things instead of reacting to things. Just getting a little bit more in control of your emotions. And everyone can always use work in all 4 of those categories. So there's always ways for us to be better in regards to our fitness, our nutrition, our hygiene, as well as mindfulness. And for most people, it's different at different periods of your life. There's usually one lead domino. So it means that there's one thing that you, in one of these categories, that you start to implement and be consistent with, and it leaks into other categories of your life. So for me, this is fitness. If I'm pretty consistent with my nutrition, almost like it's almost an ingrained habit at this point, since I've been doing it since I was 16 years old. So that's 12 years. For me, when I'm not working out, that starts to leak into other areas in a negative way. And when I am exercising or moving my body, it leaks into my life. And I call it a lead domino. It's like the first domino that knocks over all the rest of the dominoes. That was definitely why I chose movement as part of my challenge. And if I'm working out, I make better food choices. I meditate more consistently. I choose my clothes more carefully. I feel a lot better in my skin. I take care of myself. I do my hair a little more. I maybe will be kinder to my husband, so he absolutely loves that. And so for me, it was, how do I stick to that? How do I make sure that I'm still motivated to get to the gym, still making fitness a habit? Meaning that it's something that I'm going to stick to consistently for, I'm going to use 4 months as a time frame, so for longer than 4 months. And there are few ways that I've seen this been done successfully, and I'm going to list these. It's not just the challenge that I decided to choose. That's going to be the last thing I talk about. There's a couple other ways that you could maybe use to try and make something a habit. So like the first thing that I talked about when I was competing, having something that you are running towards. So this really worked for me for a very, very, very long time, because if I was running towards a competition, I knew that I had to make weight for that specific day. I knew that I wanted to show up in the best shape that I could possibly be. I wanted to impress other people. Didn't want to let my coach down. I wanted to be better than I was at the previous competition. There were so many different reasons for, staying on top of my program or on top of my fitness and nutrition as I was heading towards a specific goal. This could be something different for every single person. It could be a photo shoot, it could be a vacation, it could be a wedding, or it could be something. But having something that you're running towards is always a really great way to keep you motivated to stick towards a particular behavior and ultimately turn that into a habit. The second thing that I've seen work really, really well is to anchor your habits. And what I mean by anchoring is put one habit that you're trying to develop right beside another habit that is already something that you do automatically. So something for me is I have a really hard time being consistent with taking supplementation. So I take a vitamin D, I take something called glutathione, and I take a couple other things like a fish oil, and it was really hard for me to stay consistent with it. So I anchored that particular habit to brushing my teeth, which I do every single day. So I put my supplements right beside where my toothbrush is, and every single time I go and brush my teeth, I see the supplements there. So unless I just make the actual decision like, no, I'm not going to take my supplements today, it's really hard for me not to make that a habit. So wherever my toothbrush goes, all the supplements come with me, and anchoring the supplements, which was a difficult habit for me, to the toothbrush made it a lot more difficult to stick to that particular habit. So if you have something that you do a lot more easily every single day, whether it's, go for a walk every morning or do a cup of coffee. So let's say you go straight when you wake up in the morning to go brew a pot of coffee, and you stand there and you wait for it to brew. You can use that as an opportunity to do 5 minutes of meditation every single morning. Maybe it takes 5 minutes to brew your pot of coffee. Use that as an opportunity to close your eyes, take deep breaths, do an inventory of how your body's feeling, go from the top of your head to this in between your eyebrows, to your mouth, to your throat, to your chest, all the way down to your toes, and go back up and back down. Maybe you do that 3 times. That's a mindfulness practice that I know will leak into other areas of your life and will make you feel better. And it's anchored to something that you do every single day, so it makes it a lot easier for it to happen. Number 3 is going to be using as much detail as possible when you're describing the habit that you want to implement. So let's say you want to work out more often. So in order to make that actually come to life, you want to do what I call putting it in 3D. So you want to describe it with as much detail as possible. Like, where are you going to work out? Where are you going to get the workout from? What type of workout are you going to do? What time of day is it going to be? The week, as many details as you possibly can, so you've already made those decisions, so you don't have anything holding you back from actually getting it done. So for me, my 30 minutes of movement every day, I usually send a text message to my husband and I say, hey, what should my workout be for the day? He'll give me a workout. If not, I just take the dog for a 30-minute walk, and I know that I'm definitely going to get at least 30 minutes of movement every single day. So I put it in as much detail as possible, and there it makes it a lot easier to avoid, the stress that comes with having to make decisions, and it makes it a lot less likely that you're going to stick to your habit if you have to make decisions in the moment, because all of us get decision fatigue. We have so many decisions we have to make in a day, so you really just want to make it as easy as possible. And then now the last one is this challenge that my husband and I have done for ourselves. So it's a little out there, and at first I was like, I don't think this is something that is actually going to work for me. But instead of running towards something, we're running away from something. So I don't have a particular competition that I'm running towards. I don't have a photo shoot. I don't have a wedding. I don't have a vacation. I don't have any specific outcome goal. And I also don't want to particularly train for something, which is totally okay. I mean, if you are training for something, I think it's amazing. I think accomplishing something like a marathon or a half marathon, or competing in a CrossFit competition, or just going to a weekend competition somewhere, or doing a Spartan race or something like that. I think all of those things are so incredible. It's just not something that I want to be doing right now. So because I don't have something specific that I'm running towards, I have something that I'm running away from. And for me, that 30-minute, so it's a 30-minute a day. I'm moving 30 minutes a day, and it's for 6 months. And if I don't do it, I have to train and run a marathon, which is something I absolutely do not want to do. So that means I'm running away from running a marathon, and it's motivating me every single day to get to the gym and make sure I get this 30 minutes of movement. And I like to say I have high integrity. So I know that if I actually do skip 30 minutes, I'm going to stay true to my word. And my husband checks in with me every day to make sure that I do it. I have an accountability partner there. And another example would be that he chose to do no sugar for a year. We put some stipulations on what that actually means. Like, what does no sugar mean? It means no added sugar, no honey or agave, and also just nothing that is specifically a dessert. He was finding that he really sometimes couldn't control himself around dessert. So he wanted to see if he could go a year without it and make it a less frequent thing that comes up in his life. And he does want to be the kind of person that just doesn't eat sugar that frequently. And that's another thing about the challenge. The habit that you're trying to work on, you want to make sure that it's something that really does align with the kind of person that you want to be. I 100% want to be the kind of person who moves 30 minutes every single day. I move my body. The other option is sitting on the couch or just working at the home, or just the only movement that I get is like moving back and forth from a couple of rooms or between different activities. I definitely want to be the kind of person that intentionally moves my body for 30 minutes every day. So there's also that motivation to keep me on track and doing this particular challenge. But I also don't want to run a marathon. We call this inevitability thinking. So thinking in a way that makes something inevitable. So if you're like me and you have a hard time finding a goal to run towards, and the other strategies don't work for you, like really describing it in as much detail as possible or anchoring it to another habit, then this might work for you too. And so you want to pick one habit to be consistent with, either in nutrition, in fitness, in mindfulness, or in hygiene, and give yourself a consequence if you break that commitment. It could be many different things. So for example, one of my friends has also joined me on this 30 minutes of movement a day challenge for 6 months. And if she breaks the commitment, she has to donate $500 to the Trump campaign, which would be absolutely terrible for her. That's not something that she wants to do. It's something that she's definitely running away from and keeping her motivated to move 30 minutes every single day for 6 months. So it's just another little mind trick that you're playing with yourself. And sometimes when you're at the beginning of something, that's what you need to stay on track and to really stay motivated. I'm on day 16. I had one day where it was really difficult, and I really just was like, oh, I don't want to move for 30 minutes. And that was when this past Saturday evening to Sunday morning, my sister was in labor for 12 hours. So I just didn't get any sleep at all. But instead, because I made this commitment, I went for a 30-minute walk with my mom and my dad just down the street from where I live. And it was actually such an amazing opportunity to connect with them and just go for a walk outside. We got to talk about things. I haven't seen them in a long time. So it's like more than just about moving every single day. It gives me more opportunities to do things that I maybe wouldn't have done in the past. And I really do want to be the kind of person that moves for 30 minutes every single day. So in summary, there are so many different ways that you can stick to a habit, and it's going to change when you go in different phases of your life. So when I was a competitive athlete, it was a lot easier for me. Now that I'm not competing, it's more difficult. And I've spent the last 2 years trying to figure out, exactly what's going to be working for me. And maybe after 6 months, this is not going to be working anymore, and I'm going to have to find something else. But the point is to keep trying and not just give up and think that this is not a habit that's going to stick for me. There's going to be a way. Keep working on it. Keep trying to be aware of it, and you're going to be able to get better at it and stick to it more often than not. And we all have work to do in our mindfulness, nutrition, fitness, and hygiene. So continuing to experiment is totally worth it because it really does make you feel better. You're going to have more confidence. You're going to look better. You're going to be nicer to people. More opportunities are going to come your way. You're going to be invited to more places. There's just so many benefits of finding ways to incorporate these habits and make them more ingrained in your lifestyle. So things that could work for you: having something to run towards, like a competition, a photo shoot, something, some end goal that you're running towards. Anchoring your habits to something that already exists. Like my supplements, I anchor them towards my toothbrush. So I know that I'm going to brush my teeth, so I'll also take my supplements. Describing it in as much detail as possible so that you've already made a lot of decisions around this particular habit before it comes up. And choose something that you want to run away from. You know, choose some long-tailed habit that's for 6 months, for 1 year, and it's something that your best self, the best version of yourself, does this every day. Or it could be 5 out of 7 days, whatever it is for you, that the best version of yourself does this thing every single day, and it's something you really want to incorporate into your life, but you're having a hard time. Choose a consequence that you're running away from, and then eventually it's just going to be automatic. Like I'm definitely not going to run a marathon. So there's no chance that I'm not going to move for at least 30 minutes every single day. I hope this was helpful for you. If you have any questions, put it in the comments. If you want to tell me what your challenge is going to be, put that in the comments. And I hope that all of you guys are going to be ingraining more habits into your life that make you better versions of yourself. Thanks for listening.